welcome to fmtraining.tv. Today is a basic kind of conversation about the FileMaker platform. So hi, I'm Richard Carlton. So there has been questions about FM starting point. The FM starting point that you're seeing Nick working on is really on the end of complex and is frankly above the pay grade of 95% of the people here attending today, 90% of them. That's what we call full Nick version of starting point. And so we are taking it, the interface, and we're kind of simplifying the back end execution on it. There's a highly simplified one, which will be the light one. Then there'll be kind of this medium level simplification one, which will be designed for people who have, say, a couple of years of experience. But if you're new to the FileMaker platform, you'll want to start with the light version, which is, we went through that yesterday. And in fact, the guy on the call here right now, Michael, are you there? You want to turn on your video camera and show us your face? Michael is in the middle of, he's still slightly too red, but he's in the middle of doing this kind of translation work of taking the starting point, taking all the great artistic parts that Nick has, keeping those, and then incorporating a little bit more common, I don't want to say this, but common sense trainability stuff, right? When you have people, it's something that Nick kind of forgets, is that when you're training people in a CRM, you don't need to explain to them immediately, dynamic navigation and using the summary a field to get a list of available UUIDs for deprecation on a list. If you don't understand what I just said, then you shouldn't be doing that on. So next Tuesdays, Nick is not currently on the schedule at this point in terms of his involvement. He's done with the interface. So now we're taking it and making it applicable to normal humans, something that I can use, because I can't actually use Nick's release personally. So that's what you guys are asking about Tuesday. So that's kind of, so this guy over here is a kind of one of our awesome coaches. He's available to be hired, but he is probably one of the sharper tools in the tool shed in terms of doing design work, doing database work, but at a more kind of normal human level as opposed to warp speed. So yeah. The full Nick is the full Nick. Yeah, it's kind of a joke, but it's true. It's right. You can't really do too much with it. Unless you have, to really use the Nick's version, you need to be programming in FileMaker every day, 8 hours a day for at least 5, 6, 7 years. If you're not doing that, you're going to have a really hard time. Really take a copy of Nick's solution without Nick being there and applying it to your application. The full Nick one's tough. Starting point's not supposed to be that difficult, so that's kind of why we have to fork it and make different versions. So I want to welcome everyone on Twitch, YouTube, and Discord. There was a Discord outage. I guess it's all kind of come back online at this point. Michael, so what are we doing today? We're going to be doing FM Starting Point Lite. We're going to use the 2020 version still. Someone said, well, when is the new one going to be done? Well, I don't know. We've got the Nick design now done as of yesterday. Michael, show us your screen. Let's talk about starting point and what we're going to do on invoices, right? So this is a copy of FM starting point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it slightly smaller. That's too small. And I'm going to wave my hands around a little bit over here, just briefly, and then we'll go full screen. So the mission objective for today in this copy of starting point, today's objective is to make an invoice scheduling. Well, it's kind of a system that you can activate. So actually, we should talk about the requirements for this. So requirements are, a gentleman emailed me. On Monday, we kind of covered kind of the one thing, the basics of doing fines and managing. And of course, we got off track on that because it's such a simple topic. But the idea of scripting a fine in FileMaker, very simple. That was Monday's broadcast. And I asked him for clarification. Instead of clarifying what he wanted on Monday, he went into this conversation about, well, I really have these invoices that I give to people every month, and they're the same. And I don't want to have to create them every month, so I need a way of creating invoices scheduling. I created a customer solution like this. It was my second or third customer ever in 1990 or 91 with FileMaker 2 or 3. And what ended up happening with these guys is that it was a street sweeping company. They had like street sweepers, like the machine, they're driving down the road, and the things are spinning, and it's pulling all the crap out of the gutters, and it sucks it up, and that kind of thing. Kind of a unique piece of equipment that I would love to drive for a couple hours, then I'd be bored with it. But street sweeper, right? You're sweeping, and so, but they had an open service contract with like a Walmart parking lot or certain city streets, things like that. So every month they would do this work, but they also had to have a standard invoice sent every month. So that's kind of what we're talking about, sending a standardized invoice with the same amount every month. Now, it can be customized 100 different ways, and we will get into that. And so I need questions on topic. So the requirements are, we have invoices. We have a standard set of invoices that we need to send every, like the 5th of every month or the 1st of every month or whatever it is, every period. Doesn't have to be by the month. So we have a script that we have to run. Now, I'm not worried about scheduling the script so much to run automatically, because it's an interesting conversation to have about that. But having it like I have 100 customers or 200 customers or whatever I want to do, and I want to be able to bill those customers and have it just create a snapshot of 100 invoices. So we have in here, what do we have in this file right now? What do we have? Do we have any contacts in here?
Let's see what we got.
We got 17 contacts. What about products? What do we have for products? We're going to need a handful of products. We got 5 products. Okay, so let's talk about this. So what I want to do is, from a relational standpoint, this is kind of a new thing. You could probably hard code it all into a script, but you want a system that's flexible. So we want to be able to add or remove people from the schedule. And we want to probably be able to customize the invoice to a degree. So, because not everyone will get the same invoice, right? So what we want to do is, first off, we're not going to be worried about interface. We're just going to try to get it to work. So for those of you wondering, like, how come it's not going to be beautiful and stuff? Because when you're first trying to build stuff in FileMaker and get it to work, no one gives a shit how pretty it is, right? Once it works and it's running wonderfully, then we care about the aesthetic qualities of the beauty and the suppleness and the pleasing level of happiness that the solution gives us. Initially, we don't give a shit, right? We just want it to work. So let's go to field definition. So file, manage, database, and we're going to create a new table. And the table should be called, I guess, scheduled invoices or something like that. All right, great. Let's create that. So the first thing, why don't you just fix? We're going to see that everywhere if you don't fix that now. There we go. Okay, so let's go into that. We'll need an ID scheduled invoice, so we'll need that'll be our primary key. For training purposes, we're going to not use UUIDs. We're going to keep it simple. So that's one of the differences between like the light version of starting point and like an intermediate one, is that we start to use UUIDs in our new intermediate one, so it does sync better, things like that. But for training, we need to use basic kind of keys, right? Go ahead, Michael. I'm waiting for you to do it. So yeah, so Michael's going to go in here and do a serial number and just start it. SIV, okay. Cool, right? So there you go. So I'm not sure why it's SIV, but he picked that. It's totally good. Now let's. Now we also need. We could call it. What we're also going to do is, because the schedule. So what is this schedule attached to, right? So this is one of those things where I could draw it on a relational diagram. This is more of an ERD moment for the entity relationship diagram. But how does it connect? So a scheduled invoice will create an invoice. And you say, well, then it should relationally connect to the invoice. Yeah, once we create the invoice, but we have to kind of build it out first. So first it needs to be specific to a customer. So we'll need a foreign key. So that right there is the primary key. You could always at the end of it put an under. Can you underscore and put an underscore P or something like that on it, or something, or little p, whatever. The point is that's the primary key. You could change that. Then we need some foreign keys. So ID contact would be a foreign key. If you're using starting point with accounts, not everyone uses accounts. Accounts are organizations. Like at RCC, we have 30 some odd people. We don't really use accounts per se, because most time it's individual people and there might be 1 or 2 people there. But it's not like if we were dealing with Walmart and Walmart were our only customer, then we'd have account and the account would be Walmart and then the people would belong under that. But in our business model, we don't really need it. But you'd have ID contact, which is foreign key, no auto enter. You'd also have probably, we're going to attach it to, let's just assume for the moment, everyone, let's assume for the moment, keep it simple. I'm going to provide, let's do, for the time being, now this is not the only way to do it, but I'm trying to keep this simple, is let's do 2 line items. 2 canned line items. Now maybe you have 5 or 6 canned line items, and this gets into a thing whether you want to code it this way or not, but let's call it ID product 1, and then there's still a foreign key, right? So that's the ID of the, can you, fix that for me. Questions along the way. Ken says, hi, Ken's over there. Glad with me. Neil Jensen. Hey, NJ, welcome from Australia. It's shocking you're here. Michael in Dublin there. And then anyone on Discord. Is anyone, or not on Discord, but on Twitch? Hello? Anyone here? So I'm not sure. It's definitely streaming down there. So what I have is 2 products. Now, the rub is that we might have a price override or a description override or something like that. So what we want to do is go ahead and let's go ahead and do it called product. I would say product 1. It's not an ID anymore. It's a product 1. Product 1. If you want to do it that way. Product 1 underscore. It would be the quantity. Let's just start with quantity. So we have the SKU of product 1. Now we want the Q quantity if you want. We're going to create that. That'll probably a number field, strictly speaking, over there for you. Change that. We probably want a product 2 quantity, so let's go and do both when we do these. And then I would think that we'd probably want the cost on this might be different, but let's not get too extravagant. Let's just say the extended price. So this is the unit price that we're going, the extended price is the unit price that we're going to, not the unit cost, but unit price. So, but it's product 1, probably product 1 unit price should be the name of this, right? So because remember, it's all these have to be product 1 or product 2, right? And then what I'm going to recommend is that for consistency, he gets rid of the first underscore. Otherwise, we have to change. It looks really good. Okay. Unit 1 price, number field create, and then do that for number 2. Okay. So we've got the quantity, unit price, the SKU. This is the minimum we need, I would guess. Okay. So let's talk about this. So this is, once again, very, very basic stuff. So we're going to say, okay, so what I need you to do is hit OK. A layout will pop up. We don't need a data entry screen. It'll create a layout for us down at the bottom of the stack somewhere. I need you to go there, and I need you to dial it out as a list view. You could use a table view, but turn this into a list view and get it straightened out for us. I'm going to let you work on this briefly and label it all up. And then we'll go from there, because then we have to write the script. And the script is kind of interesting. There's I can think of 3 or 4 major ways of doing this. I'm going to do it the very verbose, easy way. It won't be the fastest way, but if you think about this, if you have a company or a business and you need to run a monthly process, you're probably going to think about, the script probably needs to be manually activated so you can kind of manage it, if that makes sense. I don't know that we want to schedule it just to fire willy-nilly on the 5th of every month. You could do that. You could do it with SASE, I suppose. Script assisted server execution, right? That's where the FileMaker server is going to run that for you. But probably be initially a button that I would run manually at the first part of the month or end of part of the month. And then I would, after a while, if it worked reliably and there weren't a lot of manual massaging going on, because remember, this thing is going to do its bulk operation, right? And theoretically, it would create the 100 invoices or however many invoices we're going to put in here. Each invoice that's created is going to come from one scheduled record over here, one scheduled record. And it would probably, in most modern days, it would be created to a PDF, saved to a temporary folder, and then attached to an email and sent out. We talked about this quite a bit on the certification training. For those of you who came to the certification training, we talked about this. Really how Claris would ask questions on it, but really you need to know about creating a path, saving a document to the path, and then sending an email out, probably an SMTP email, attaching it to that and sending it out is the way I would do it. At RCC, we'd probably use a 360 email plugin to do it. We are scheduling Joe Martin from 360 Works to come out and walk us through one day of doing the email plugin. So once he has this kind of going, it's going to tighten it up, make it look nice. And then what we're going to do is he'll start to create some, we will create some records in here. And then after we have two or three records in here, then we will create the script and fire it and then manage that. But if you created this and you were actually building this out, you'd want to test it. And then when you got the live customers that you might piss off, you don't want to make your customers mad. You would run this, check the invoices, and then maybe, like pause the script or stop the script and then have a second part of the script you can run. So the first part creates it, then that allows you, it stops, and then you visually verify the data is valid, right? And then you would have maybe a second script you would activate, which would spin through those and PDF them and then fire them off to people, if that made sense. So once again, it's practical FileMaker development punctuated by QA testing and not pissing off your customers, right? So that makes sense. No conversations, no questions. Hey, Jim Watts, welcome. Hey, Neil Jensen. By the way, Neil, if you have any, I'm going to pivot real quick because Michael's over here banging away on this, but Neil's done some really amazing demos for us. Neil, if you have any other demos that you want to show us or things like that, let us know. Because we'll be happy to, even if you don't want to present on it, we'd be happy to give you full credit and show people what you've been doing. Some really interesting stuff. Some of it is pretty processor intensive, right? Little stick figures animating and stuff like that, containers that are flipping fast. But some of those are neat to see. They're inspiring, and some of them are actually sufficiently lightweight that they're pretty cool. Right. In fact, I ran into this the other day where I couldn't understand why someone was having an issue, and the issue was, we were talking about Nick's design, the starting point, and Nick is making the fully Nick version of his new CRM is so complex because he's trying to overcome deficiencies in Claris's user interface tools, right? And I would rather just give in to the interface limitations and design it to be simpler, right? But that's one thing that NJ's done. He's done some really interesting field labeling where it's an inline label. This is one of the best ones he ever did. Inline label, but you click in the field, you start typing it goes away, and then it animates it, like flies the label up above it. Really, really sexy. That needs to be a feature of the product, but yeah, no, that was amazing. So I thought that was great. So why don't you start create us some invoices for us? And then you're going to have to also pop a new window and show us the contact records. You're going to have to attach that, right? Now, you would make a portal. In fact, we could even go through that process and do that. Make a portal. In fact, you want to do that? That might be the thing to do, right? It wouldn't be that horribly hard. Why don't you... Can you add a tab down here? I mean, there's definitely room. Can you add a tab? Because we've given this a couple days, so we want to kind of go through this. But once again, this is not at Kyle's speed. Kyle, that's why I, as much as I love some of you, this training is intended for more basic users. So, all right. So what we want to do is that we have a tab that we've created here. We need to establish a relationship. So we use Anchor-buoy for those of you who have our complete training. I highly recommend that you check out the videos on Anchor-buoy Part 1 and Part 2 of our training. It'll explain to you how to do this and why we do this. So we're going to scroll over to the contacts TOG, table occurrence group. It's a separate group. It's on the left side there somewhere. Left, right there. And we're going to add one in here. So it looks like there's no TO5. Can you zoom in quite a bit so people can see this numbering? So real quick on the left side, there we go. The table occurrence group is this called the TO5. We give it a number so it's easy to track. And then the relationships that attach that on the right side start at TO5A and they go all the way down. And so we've got a gap in here for whatever reason. There's no TO5 echo, E as an echo. So we should create a new relationship and stick it in there and connect it. Now, initially when we connect it, I would have it connect over here and down here, something like that. Because trying to have it in line in here and trying to get the correct box to read it is a real. So why don't you create a new one and connect it over here. Michael, if you want to go ahead and go through that. Questions along the way? Yeah, Neil will see what he's got in the vault. Yeah. So he's put that in there, but for the time being, yeah, that's fine. So he's going to put that in there. Okay, he's going to paste another name in, right? And then we're going to change it. Then we put the parent table in, and we put the table that's under this TO on, which should be what, scheduled invoices or whatever it is, right? And then it should be ID contact or something, whatever it is, right? Okay, great. So they say okay, and now this is the part where what he's gonna have to do is he has to roll this down, and then he's gonna have to drag ID contact from over here and find the foreign key over here, right? And then the problem is can you just move it so we can find the box and double click it and review it real quick? There you go. So the box is right there, double click. So on the left side, ID contact, primary key on the left side. Doesn't have to be on the left, this happens to be on the left right now. Foreign key on the right side. A lot of times you do like an Option F on the Mac. It makes kind of this little italics F or whatever, kind of handy. And then down below, we're going to allow the creation of related records and deletion. I highly recommend, unless you have years and years of experience and you're willing to have your customers be pissed off at you, don't use the delete whenever. I would turn that one off, but I would turn on for sure the top one allows us to create related records, okay? We're not too concerned about sort order in this, just because if you schedule an invoice on a per contact basis, how many might you schedule for a contact? 1, 2, maybe, if you're really kind of organized like that. Hit OK. And then so you can go on and kind of like scroll it up and line it in there a little bit like that, so it's ready to go. Looks pretty. We move it in, and then we hit OK, which saves it. Now we are running this solution on FileMaker Server, so we are making all these edits at the FileMaker Server level. So now we're going to go back over to the Schedule Invoices tab, drop back into Layout, and he's going to start laying out the portal that's in there, right? So questions along the way. So anyone have questions? Kind of basic stuff, but some of you, listen. I'm picking on Kyle, and that's because I love Kyle, and maybe someday he can come work for me. I'm hoping, but the reality is that he's kind of an advanced guy, and this is not meant for that. So if you have questions, I know no one's asking questions. Some of you have questions. I guarantee right now some of you have questions, and so I need you to ask the question, because if you ask it, someone else who doesn't want to be embarrassed, I'm not going to embarrass you unless you're Kyle. Okay, Michael, you want to walk them through what you're doing? Can you? Because Michael's a coach. Michael's actually not even straining right now. Normally, Michael is talking his way through this conversation. Michael, you want to tell us what you're doing a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So I just finished making this portal here, and I've put all of the fields that are in question here so we can see. Then I'm just adding labels up to the top. I could probably make them a little bit nicer. Don't put the IDs or the foreign keys, but for the sake of education, I'm leaving all the underscores and just so that we know exactly what field that we're looking at. And so it's a little messy right now, but I am going to clean it up as I get it finished up here. So this is product 1 quantity. So we got to say product 1. I'm going to add that underscore just to stay consistent, and I'm going to just copy this. And what I'm going to do to copy this is I'm just going to hold Command, and I'm going to drag this over, and you can make copies of objects on your layout. It's pretty awesome. That way you don't have to do Control-V, you can Control-C, Control-V, and all that stuff. So again, I'm just going to keep on putting these guys in. Product 1, and this is going to be the unit underscore price. And
not the cost.
That guy.
Yeah, normally cost is how much you pay. Price is what you're going to charge the other person. So. Now, you can organize this a couple different ways. I would normally keep the product 1s and product 2s together. In this case, he hasn't done that. I don't know that it tremendously matters too much.
That's a good idea. I'm going to do that.
Are you? Okay. Otherwise, it's going to be kind of get confusing. And the fields can be a little smaller. Remember, quantity is going to be 1 or 2, and maybe a really bad day, a 3-digit number. All right. Where are we at, Holmes? So.
All right.
So it's all in there. It's still kind of ugly. But so we've got this part built, and so now what we want to do is go ahead and let's create some records. So this is Fred. Fred looks like a cool dude. So click in his record, and what we want to do is okay. So that's the primary key. So let's go ahead and go back to layout mode and make that a entry only in find. So because we don't want to click in there, it needs to be, so what we do is called, for those of you wondering, this is right here, it's under the right in layout mode, it's the right pane, that's the right pane on the right side, way over there. There's 4 panels on there, it's the right panel, which is the data panel, okay? You should know that. That will loosely come up in the test, okay? There's 4 panes there, you should know what those are. Data, appearance, styles, positions. On the left side, without me, I'm looking up in the air here. There's 3 of them. I think it's fields, objects, field objects, or something else. What is it? Oh, add-ons.
Shit.
Okay, that's add-ons.
You had it.
Well, I was thinking, I remember about 4 years ago with Claris, before they put add-ons in, they actually put up here Zapier integrations, which add-ons are great, but Zapier integration, but then they went out and did Claris Connect. I was like, oh, that's great. So, but I remember Zapier, the engineers programmed, we never had it, but it was a version they made for DevCon to show what it could look like. We were all fucking stoked. That would have been so awesome. Could imagine Claris Connect that doesn't suck, that's built into FileMaker. That would be great. That would be really awesome. All right, so we turned off browse mode. So why we turned off browse mode? Because this is an auto enter value. This is the primary key from the, you can go back to browse mode. Primary key, man, I got to teach you to use your left hand, right? Left or Command or Control B with your left hand on your keyboard. So your right hand is on your mouse. And your left hand is Command or Control B with your left hand. So your mouse, you're not chasing that button in the upper right hand corner. But anyway, so yeah, so let's click, so the ID contact should auto fill in. So let's go over to product SKUs. So can we pop the product window up in another window without property window? Actually, stop. There's a trick for that. Hold down, Control Option Shift Alt something, press the button, it pops a new window, okay? And starting point. We programmed it to do that. Really awesome. Okay, so we want to, just click products. There we go. So we want SKU. I guess you could copy it. It's right. Can you click in there and copy that?
Negative.
Oh. All right, so it's PRO and then 001. So click back over there and click in there. You know what you could do is make that a pop-up of products. Why don't you do that for us? Make that a pop-up of products. Available
Make it
product.
a pop-up of products, like over here somewhere.
No. Click over here. Click over here. I want to see a value list with all those on it from the 5 records. There's only 5.
And not in a portal.
No, you're clicking here. So instead of you putting the SKU in manually, you can click from your pop-up list. So I will. Your little brain just sketched out here. Click over here. I'm gonna help you. You're stressing out because you're on live TV. You know this. I know you know this. You do way more advanced shit. Layout mode. Okay. Command or Control L with your left hand. There you go. And then you're going to go to the click on the product ID. Do number 1 would be great. Click on the first field over here. Whatever product ID 1. That one right there. Yeah, that one. Click that. Okay. Click on the right panel, right pane data view. Come down to.
I see what you're looking at now.
Why am I not seeing that? Oh, it's at the top. Thank you very much. Yeah. So you want to pop up. Pop-up menu would be the safest one because you don't want people like artificially creating bullshit in there. If you give them the ability to have a value list, they can edit it, which could be bad. So now you popped into a list of this is where we manage in any solution all the value lists, products, and it looks like it's already in there. Pro product is already in there. Okay. You want to before you want to add that to, I guess 2. I guess, right? And then, so it's already a value list that had already been created, right?
Yeah.
So we go to browse mode, okay?
Command B.
Okay. And then and you can click on that. There you go. So now just go ahead and put one in. Just select one. We'll need one for that one and one for the first one. Okay, and then select the second one. Now, when he popped this in here, this showed up because it forced that ad where we said cascading ads in relationship. It created a new record, and because it created a new record, you got this value right here popped up automatically. But then since we created through the relationship, it forced this value in there as well. So kind of a neat demo. Okay, so we're on the way to doing awesome stuff. Now, we could, what we should probably do is have it look up the requested price for product 1 and the requested price for product 2. Okay, and then here's another one. Let's do it. We're just having a great time here because we got 2 days for this. We should make this as useful as possible for people. First, let's go to layout mode and make every portal row kind of double wide. So you want to do like 3 and make sure that, they can scroll, make them double wide, okay? And below each of those products, I want you to put a non-editable field in there. I want to see the SKU for that product in there, okay? So, because really it's kind of a mess because that's the product name and we need to use the product ID. So we kind of messed this up, right? Didn't we? A little bit, right? So, you see what we did? Some of you were like going, hey, Richard, do you know what you're doing? Right? Yeah, not really. So let's just put those in there, okay? And this should be, put them in there like that would be fine, okay? What we need to do, though, is, that's fine. Go ahead and do that if you want. Get both those going. Where
is it?
Actually, it may not even exist.
Looks like we don't have the relationship.
So you need to establish. Well, it would be a TO. Nah, it's going to be TO5 E1 is what it's going to be. It's a grandchild. So you have to schedule. We have to connect it through on the other end. So hit field definitions. Right. So what we're trying to do is make this kind of usable. And so what we're going to do is go to our table occurrence group. We just created this TO5. And what he's going to do, TO5 down below, right there. Zoom back in.
Oh, I see.
And what I'm going to do, even though I know we have E in there, I'm going to ask him to grab this entire group. Okay, and you need to zoom it down a little bit. Okay. Grab the entire group. Or just do this. Okay, so let me quit moving for a second. Grab E. Just move it down here out of the way. So it's kind of like, this is what we normally do in real life anyway. We're building stuff. We don't do the cleanup until we're all done. So there's TO5E. When it's done and we finish putting the pieces here and it's all happy, we will move it and load it back up where it needs to go. But for the time being, we just want to be able to get to it real quick and double click on things real quick. So let's add another table occurrence and it'll be a grandchild. So we need a new table occurrence. It's going to be products, right? And that will go down there and you'll give it the correct name, which will be TO5 Echo 1 because it's attached through Echo. Make sense? Stu's there. Stu's typing a question. The question is by Stu. So it's it's the scheduled invoice and then it's products, right? Yeah. Question, can you discuss what is advisable to do an auto lookup of related? Yeah, I thought about doing a lookup here, but I wanted to, in fact, probably a lookup would be better in this case. That's a good point, Stu. It's mostly a performance issue. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit. Once he gets this done, I'll talk about. Well, he's just about done now. You're gonna have to do a 1 and a 2. You have to do a TO5 Echo 1. Okay, you work on that. So here's the deal. If you use live data, there's 2 things you have to consider when using live data in FileMaker. You're on. Let's talk about invoices. Invoices is a good one. So forget what happened over here. Focus. Invoices. If you're on invoices and you create an invoice, you could actually on the portal, as you put the portal rows in there, you could say I'm selling a energy drink, okay? And we create the invoice for the energy drink. I'm going to sell 100 of them, and they are $1.25 a piece or whatever they're going to be, okay? Now, you could put the price in there as a live link, okay, to the products database, or you could do a lookup. The lookup takes an initial performance hit because it looks up the price and brings it back, and then in the future, then it doesn't re-lookup. It doesn't update itself. It updates once and never updates again after that unless you give a command for it to update itself. But lookups are a copy and paste function. We cover this, Stu, and I'm just saying I may not answer this as well as you'd like me to answer it. It's in the complete training. I'm pretty sure I gave you the complete training. If I haven't given you the complete training, because you're active duty USN or USMC, so in which case I would give the training to you for free. But we talk about this idea whether you want to have the live data or not have the live data. But Nick is not where I would send Stu. When you're a brand new person or middle intermediate person, I would not send them to learn from Nick, right? It's because I'm fundamentally concerned with your understanding. And that's what I'm trying to focus on. So the lookup will preserve the historic nature of the data. On an invoice, once you create an invoice, if it's a lookup, whatever the price was at the time you create the invoice is locked in there, and it won't update it unless you tell it to. If you actually have a live link, say you come back in here 5 years in the future, and you display the invoice, and the price is dynamic, then the invoice will actually, values will change because the commodity price of some of your items goes up and down, right? And so lookups are better. I generally tend to prefer them, like an auto enter calculation. They fire once and they don't fire again unless you want them to. We can do a lookup if we want. I would recommend it probably in this case. That's an important consideration, right? Because you want to preserve the historic nature of the data. You don't want it always updating. Because say someone pays for the invoice, right? They pay for the invoice. They buy 100 of these drinks, and it's $100. And then the price goes up. You come back the invoice. You had an invoice for $100. They paid you $100. The invoice it's a business transaction. It should be locked. It's a deal you did. It should never change, right? Unless you have a time machine, go back in time. You can't do that. So you don't want it to change. But if the price is live, then you come to that invoice, the invoice total at the bottom very well might be a different amount. In fact, probably is a different amount. It could be $110. It shows the guy paid, so you assume, oh, he paid $110, but no, he paid $100 because at the time you created the invoice, the price was different. So you need to kind of lock things down. So lookups are great for that. Auto enter calculations, auto enter entry is a good thing for that. A lookup is basically an auto enter option, right? So where are we, Michael, on that?
I think we're just about there.
Okay, great. Yeah, this is a whole different velocity than Nick. A lot of you are all wound around the axle about that. I can't help that. Nick doesn't do training at the basic and intermediate level. Nick's only speed is warp 9, right? So I love Nick, but it's very, very different than what we do here, right? So once again, this gets back to us splitting the broadcast out from beginning to intermediate to advanced. But the FileMaker community is not big enough for that. We don't have enough. There's not enough customers in this community to really support that. Unless all of you are going to write me a check every month for $100, there's not enough money in there to support that. So where are we at with this? So are these, what we ought to do is, so you have a foreign key. So if you go to browse mode, show us what we got. Okay, so that data is actually incorrect. So let's go ahead and click in those and clear it out because that's not the primary key, right? So what we need to do is this is where it gets a little more tricky, right? So we're going to go back to layout mode. We're going to click on this field right here, the top one. And we're going to go to the product menu over here, products over here. What we actually need to do is we need to show the product, but we actually need to do a more clever situation. So it's where we need to scroll down, see whether we have product, sort product. probably a new one. Let's just create a new one. So let's just create a new. It's going to be called product underscore SKU. SKU, call it product SKU, SKU underscore with name. Underscore with name. Great. Okay. So the custom value is the easiest one to do. This just gets all the values from a field, which is fairly easy. But we actually need to get, what we need to do is get the values. The first value is probably going to be, we have to go through, and it's always hard to remember this, but this is where we're going to use the relationships. We're going to go through to TO5 echo. We're going to do the that one there. Yep, we're going to start with, actually not. We're going to go, no, we want to go all the way through to products. Click on that. One more. Okay, so let me think about this. That's interesting because it's not really a relationship yet, but it's going to show you all the values from. That's fine. Go ahead and do, boy, but it's through, hang on, cancel for a second here. Kyle, am I screwing this up? What am I doing? It helps just to read this, right? I'm actually playing air traffic control with about 12 other things here. So let's read the dialogue. That's always helpful. Choose the field that contains the values you want to use. Display the names from the first field, second field, third field. Choose the values from the field. Okay, so click on this and go to, let's just try to use the products database. Let's just go straight to the products. So it's different TO5. It's not even, it's whatever products is. Right there, I saw it. Products. There we go. Go to products. Get the use the values from SKU. So it should be ID product. Is it ID product or SKU number? No, do ID product. Okay, we got ID product. Click on that. Okay. Then click over here. Also show values from the product name. Scroll down. Product name. Product. I guess that's it. Right, try that one. Now hold on. We got to go back. Hit that again. It says include all values. Only include values related from show. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Leave it all values for now. Show values from only the. Click on that. Show values from only the second field. That's interesting, right? So. That's pretty neat. So what that does is that we're going to get the SKU number. So actually turn this off for a second and show everyone what it does. Turn that off and then show what happens. Hit OK. Hit OK. Hit OK. Hit OK. So once again, this is basic. This is not the world of Nick. Very, very basic. All right. So we're going to go ahead and click right there. So what we want is the little primary key on the left. Okay. But a lot of times when you get a list, the list is cryptic because it's a bunch of SKUs. Unless you memorize every SKU number for every product you have, and if you live at your company, you have no life, and you work there 20 hours a day, maybe you've done that. But if you have thousands of SKUs, it's going to be hard to do that. So we need the item on the left right here. For those of you, I'm on the left right here. But the thing on the right tells us kind of what it is, so it allows us to kind of better understand what we're going for. So let's pick this one. Just click on that one, that middle one right there for me. Click on that. Okay. Now, okay. So what it's doing is that these are the same fields, right? These are the same fields. Go back to layout mode. They are confirmed they're the same fields. I want to make sure that's the case.
They are.
Okay, so the formatting on this field is set. Go back to browse mode, Command B. What you're going to have is, and click over there, is that it's showing you this second piece in here, but it's a little misleading because really that's not part of the primary key. It's kind of like fake data over here, right, for you. The actual value in the field is this right here, right? So you're like, well, it's kind of goofy like this, right? And so really, if we put, what we ought to do is put the SKU down below so we know it's really there, right? And then, of course, someone's dinging me. So go to layout mode. Let's make the field down below italic and a medium gray on both of them, right? So command and control layout mode, make it italic, a medium gray, something like that, and make it so we can't enter it in browse mode, which would be great. Okay, and then what we want to do is come up the top one right here, and let's click on that, and then go back to over here, And what we want to do is to show you how far FileMaker can manipulate and distort the data, and it's something we use. What we want to do is say, we actually need this, but it's also, the word also in giant font, also show us this. And then after we've selected it, it's going to put this in the field, but just actually only show us this right here. So this is really educational. Hit OK on that. Show second field. Hit OK. Go through that and hit browse mode. And then you'll see what's going on here. So it's pretty interesting. So what you've got is both of these are the same field. This field right here, really under the hood, has only this data in it right here. And that's what's driving the relationship. I really just like how when you click on the field, it shows the left value, but the drop down shows the right. So click on it right now, click. Yeah, but I got rid of that. Is that better, Stu? You feel better? I'm waiting for a response. Stand by. The Navy has to pass judgment on this. Actually, I'm not sure if in this case, this is for drop downs, not pop up. Well, the problem with pop up. Okay, so here's the problem. We're doing drop down menus. Let's go ahead. Okay, so let's do the same thing. This is a great example. Go to layout mode. And I want to set the right product 2, to do the same thing, but to give me a pop-down, drop-down list. And the drop-down list has got a problem, which is, it's the same thing. Yeah, we're going to use that one right there. Cool. Go to browse mode. And the problem with this allows us to edit it, right? It's kind of the problem. So click on product 2 real quick. Okay, well, you did that really fast. Click once. So you do that. You can select stuff over here. Go ahead and click on one there. Okay, click. Now it worked. It put the product in there. Is it? Oh, right. So is it? So the drop down. Oh, wait, go. Is this one? Okay, so Kyle's off talking about script triggers. I'm gonna listen when you guys are really off in the weeds off the conversation. I'm gonna yeah. So if I'm ignoring you, it's probably on purpose, right? So. This is interesting. So on a drop-down menu, it behaves one way, and can you confirm those are both the same thing in terms of that, Michael?
Yes,
So
sir.
it's the pop-down, yeah, and that's the same one, and on that one there, it's the same one there, yeah, yeah. Oh, so this is maybe what Stu's talking about, right? So this is your issue, Stu? My issue is it's user editable, right? So go back to browse mode, and so let's jump to the next. Okay, do me a favor. This is confusing. I need a better. Can you put these on? Yeah, go to layout mode for me, and let's just change the shape, the active or alternate color on the portal. So click on the alternate row state. Yeah, no. Yeah, use active. Okay, but hit OK over here. But then go to Appearance, tab there, and then select the portal row primary alternate. Yeah, hit alternate and make it. Is it supposed to be gray, or is the primary the gray one? One of them's gray. It needs to be a darker gray.
Yeah, primary is white. Alternate gray.
Okay, then make that alternate. Go back to alternate. Go back to alternate and make it like way darker. Like, yeah, like that. Something that we really can tell. Okay, go back to browse mode. There we go. So it's a lot easier to understand. So now we have red records. So let's flip the next person in the system. So we'll start fresh with the next person. Okay, so if we click on this item, click on this one right there. Let's just try that. Check that out. So we see what we're supposed to see. Okay, go ahead and select one. Yeah. So in a case where if you want to use a drop-down list, that's fine. But the problem with the drop-down list is that you can come in here and edit stuff. With a drop-down menu, that's not editable. So the behavior is a little different here, right? I don't think that VL works with drop-down lists, and value list works with pop-up, only with pop-up menus. Yeah, that's kind of the Windows when Pop-up menus don't work well on Windows when there's more than 15 items. Yeah, so once again, I'm not going to drive into too much about, I'm just trying to get the basics here done. So we're spending a little time on this. We're kind of at time. We're going to script this tomorrow. I know a lot of you, this is really basic, and it's very painful for you to be part of this conversation. Once again, this is for the new people who are wrestling with this, and wrestling with the idea of managing these things. But the idea over here primarily is that we want to be able to see if you click on this one right here, pick one of the other ones. I don't care. That should not be the same one. You're going to pick one, and then what you have is you have the title of the item up above, and then you have the SKU number down below. And that's basically, in an ideal world, what you would see, right? And you don't want people inventing new products in flight, although you could. Maybe your business model is that they just can click in here willy-nilly and type, right? Makes sense? Click in willy-nilly and type. So the idea is that we're laying this out, so when the schedule runs, it won't run from here. It's going to run in a list view. Hang on one second. Let me go back over here and set that. It's going to go back to list view, right? And on the schedules over here, and it's going to run through this tomorrow, and it's going to create invoices on every loop. Pretty cool. Basic stuff, but once again, in the world of FileMaker, this is the basics of how you get off of first base, right? Questions on this? So Kyle, yeah, so this is one of those things, if you wanted to use a drop-down list, you'd have to kind of concoct this slightly differently. You'd have to probably put two fields on top of each other. So we will probably just go with drop-down menus for the time being. But drop-down menus are not great for giant lists. Like if you have hundreds and hundreds of products. So you'd have to come up with another way of doing that, right? Once again, not really a performance conversation today. It's mostly about basic breathing, basically writing a script to flip through records and to manipulate the contents of another table. If you're in table one, you're extracting data out of table one, running a looping script which will create records and do things for you in a useful business way on another table. So if you have questions about this, you want us to take up a topic on this, some issue on this topic for tomorrow, we're going to pick up the conversation. We're going to continue. Shoot us an email to support@RC Consulting. Shoot us an email to support. So that's it for today. I don't want to go too far past. We'll pick up the conversation tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to script this thing. So we're going to create, what we'll do is by tomorrow we'll put some other fake data in here. We'll have that ready, Michael, and that way tomorrow when we pick up the conversation, we need a button probably on the home screen that we're going to build that will create these invoices for us, right? And then the other part of that, after we create the invoices, is probably, if you want to kind of pre-bake it a little bit, Michael, we're going to want to create PDFs of the invoices, right? And then I guess you could send them out if you wanted to. So there you go. That's it for now. Appreciate everyone. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Got a report of an individual up here who may be a FileMaker license. Well, it's potentially expired. Look at the back of that car right there. Looks like the FileMaker license has expired. Sir, I need you to step out of the vehicle. Sir, step out of the vehicle. Sir.